The chief surgeon yanked her hair. What the quiet nurse did next stunned the entire ER. The emergency room fell silent. Every doctor, every nurse, every intern froze in place as they watched Dr. Richard Brennan, the chief surgeon, grab a fistful of Nurse Maya Chen's hair and yank it hard enough to snap her head back. Her scrub cap fell to the floor. The surgical tray clattered. And Maya, the woman everyone called the quiet nurse, just stood there with tears streaming down her face, saying absolutely nothing. What happened in the 60 seconds that followed would become a story whispered in hospital break rooms across the country, a story that would change not just one man's career, but dozens of lives. But to understand what Maya did next, you need to know who she really was, because the world was about to discover that quiet doesn't mean weak, and kindness doesn't mean powerless. Before we dive into this incredible story, I want to invite you to join our Heartfelt Moments family. If you love stories that restore your faith in humanity and remind you of the good that still exists in this world, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Drop a comment below telling us about a time someone's kindness changed your day. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like so we can spread this message of hope to even more people. Now let's get back to Maya's story. Maya Chen had worked at County General Hospital for 7 years. She was 32 years old, originally from a small town in Oregon, and she'd moved to Chicago with dreams of making a difference in healthcare. But Maya wasn't the kind of nurse who commanded attention. She didn't have the loudest voice in the room. She didn't push her way to the front during emergencies. Instead, she was the one who stayed late to hold a scared patient's hand. She was the one who remembered which elderly patients liked their blankets warmed and which ones needed the lights dimmed. The other staff loved her, but they also overlooked her. In meetings, her suggestions were often talked over. In conflicts, she always backed down. Dr. Richard Brennan was Maya's opposite. At 54, he was a brilliant surgeon with an ego that matched his talent. He saved lives, yes, but he also terrorized his staff. He screamed at residents until they cried. He threw instruments during surgery. He'd been reported to HR 11 times in 3 years, but he was too valuable to fire. The hospital board looked the other way. After all, he brought in millions in revenue and had one of the best survival rates in the state. On this particular Tuesday night, the ER was chaos. A multi-car pileup on the interstate had sent 14 patients flooding in at once. Maya was assisting Dr. Brennan with a critical patient, a 17-year-old girl with internal bleeding. The surgery was tense. Every second mattered. Maya handed Dr. Brennan each instrument with perfect precision, anticipating his needs before he even asked. But then, in the rush, she handed him the wrong size clamp. That's when it happened. Dr. Brennan's face turned red. Without a word, he reached up and grabbed a handful of Maya's hair through her surgical cap, yanking it so hard that her cap came off and her head jerked backward. "You incompetent fool," he shouted. "Do you want to kill this girl?" The operating room went dead silent. The anesthesiologist's mouth dropped open. The surgical tech stepped back. Everyone waited for Maya to run out crying like the others always did. But Maya didn't run. She slowly bent down, picked up her scrub cap and tied her hair back. Then she looked Dr. Brennan directly in the eyes and said in a calm, steady voice, "Dr. Brennan, we have a patient who needs us. I'm going to continue doing my job. After we save her life, you and I are going to have a conversation." Then she turned back to the surgical tray and handed him the correct clamp without another word. The surgery continued. They saved the girl's life. And when the last suture was tied, Maya pulled off her gloves, walked to the scrub room, and waited. Dr. Brennan followed, ready to either apologize half-heartedly or defend himself. But what Maya said next shocked him completely. "Dr. Brennan," she began quietly, "you're an incredible surgeon. I've watched you save lives that other doctors would have given up on. But you're also broken inside, and you're breaking everyone around you." Her voice was gentle but firm. "I don't know what happened to make you so angry, but I do know this. The people here deserve better." And deep down, so do you. Dr. Brennan opened his mouth to snap back, but nothing came out. For the first time in decades, someone had spoken to him with both strength and compassion. Not fear, not anger, just honest, painful truth wrapped in kindness. "I'm reporting what you did tonight," Maya continued, "not because I want revenge, but because someone has to stop this cycle. But I'm also going to recommend that the hospital offer you counseling and support instead of just punishment, because I believe people can change when someone believes in them." What happened next became legendary at County General. Maya filed her report, but she also did something unprecedented. She started a petition signed by 43 staff members requesting that the hospital create a wellness program for physicians dealing with burnout, anger, and trauma rather than just punishing them. She turned her pain into purpose. The hospital board couldn't ignore 43 signatures. Dr. Brennan was suspended for 3 months, but he was also offered therapy and anger management. To everyone's surprise, he accepted. 6 months later, Dr. Brennan returned. He was different, quieter, humbler. He personally apologized to Maya in front of the entire surgical staff and started a mentorship program where he taught young surgeons not just technical skills, but how to treat their teams with dignity. Maya eventually became the hospital's patient advocacy director. She created programs that protected nurses and staff from abuse and established support systems for healthcare workers' mental health. Maya's story reminds us that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest force in the world. It takes real courage to respond to cruelty, not with more cruelty, but with truth and compassion. To see past someone's worst moment and still believe in their potential for change. Today, think about someone in your life who's difficult, angry, or unkind. What if their behavior is just pain turned outward? What if your kindness could be the thing that finally breaks through? You don't have to accept abuse, but you can choose to respond with strength and grace, just like Maya did. Because sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is hold people accountable while still holding on to hope for who they could become. That's the power of kindness. It changes everything.